we can utilize Showbie to really support maybe blended learning, but equally just the use of Showbie in the classroom to support students when it comes to utilizing presentations. So I'm going to jump into Showbie. I'm going to use the class that I've set up and you may have seen in previous videos that I've created. And I've just created a digital learning assignment here. In this assignment, you'll see I've got a few students in here and I've just added in a presentation. So similar to how I approach this in university in my own classes, I'll share the presentation with my students and I'll make a few tweaks to that presentation to enable them to be able to interact with the presentation so that they have an engagement and immersive experience as opposed to it just being kind of look at what I'm showing on the screen, which obviously in a remote world, it can be a little bit tricky. So we're just going to kind of showcase how you could do this, both if I was face-to-face with the students, but equally how this exact same process will support students working from home and give them a way to interact with you all in one place. So the presentation itself, I've uploaded and I'll go through that in a second. You'll see when I go into my presentation, I can easily just scroll through those different elements on my slide and add additional sections in. Now you'll notice this additional page here, this has been created to allow the students to give me feedback. And that's the critical element here. I want the students to be able to showcase what they learn and share it back to me so that we have that kind of link between us and the classroom. So you'll notice here that I've got a few students that have already added in some content to this. So if I jump back into that presentation, if I tap on the heads at the top here, I see all of my students' names here. And if I go through to that page where I've asked for them to give me feedback, I can tap on those individual students. And once it loads up, I'll see that they've given me some information. In this case, Dave Jones has decided to give me some feedback using the voice note function. So choice is a really, really useful thing, having all of these tools across the top. I can equally then jump through to Richard's, for example. And notice on Richard's screens, he's written his feedback and given me something in a different way. Now on my device, I have access to everybody's presentation. On their devices, they have access to my presentation, but equally, in this sense, have a place to make their own notes and share that back to me in one simple, easy way. I can also obviously give the students feedback onto their device as well. Now let's have a look at how this looks then. Well, Lisa hasn't particularly given me anything useful. Always the case with students. Let's have a look at how this actually works then in the classroom. I'm going to jump onto a student device and I'll just showcase this on the screen now so you can see this as well. So I'm logged in on this device now on the right hand side from the student's point of view. The student just simply needs to tap into that presentation. As you can see, that's just going to download that document. Again, they have the access to be able to move through the document. And then we get to this page, like I said, they have the options to write directly onto the screen. Or in the case of some students, potentially leave a voice note. I like to make picture notes because it supports my memory recall. And add that nice and easily onto their page. Now when they tap done on their screen, that's going to save those annotations. And then on my screen, you'll notice now the other Dave Jones has a blue dot next to his name because his work has now been uploaded. So that work from his screen is now through to my screen, which will enable me to be able to interact with him. So again, in the classroom, great way for students to be able to interact with any presentations you might be giving, but also have a workspace for them to work on. In a remote environment, something which enables the students to be able to share what they're doing in their space, but for me to be able to see that as well. Now the process is quite simple in order to get these things set up. We've looked at this previously in terms of adding things to that shared item section. If I find that presentation itself, here it is. I've just simply, like I said, added in after every page, there might be a section that looks a little bit like this. It could be a question that you ask the students to respond to, a place for them to write an answer, anything that you might want to add in. Simply need to tap on those three dots at the top, tap share, find Showbie as your destination. In my case, all my classes will load up onto this. I'm going to put it into that module demo space. And again, I'll just add it into the space we're already in and tap add file. That's now going to add that directly in. And it could be that I've done this in Keynote, could have done this in Pages. Same process is going to work in terms of adding that document up to my Showbie account. Once that's loaded in, we can jump into Showbie now and take a look at how that looks on the screen. And we can also add that in by tapping on the plus, going to import document, finding that presentation, and it will do the same process this way around. So there's two different ways to do it, and I've probably just overloaded this page now with 3 examples of the same presentation. But just to showcase, it's that quick and easy in order to just add those elements in. So there we go. So that's this simple setup process to be able to add in that content, and hopefully that will improve how you can interact and engage with your students both in the classroom and remotely, and I guess even if you have to remote and teach in person at the same time as well.